Audience, this is a special being. Um, it's somebody who I've actually only recently gotten to know. Her name is Andrea Feeney. She's a wealth advisor with Edward Jones. But this is not why I love Andrea Feeney. I love Andrea Feeney because of who she is as a person, because of how much she gives a shit about people. And if people know me, I talk about gas all the time. That's a big thing with me because the one thing nobody can teach you, you can't get trained in it, you can't get an education on it, you can't read a book on it, is how to give a shit. Well, folks, guess what? You're about to meet somebody that has so much gas, you're going to have to open up the windows in your house.
No, that's an intro.
I'm 100% serious. This is a special person who wants to make a difference in people's lives. So, Andrea Feeney, let's jump right in. What do you think it is that makes you this way? Why do you think you're so different? You stand out to me in this way as this person. Where does this come from?
Well, I think a lot like you, Andrew, I was lucky to be the daughter of two people who really understood the importance of giving back and making a difference in other people's lives. My mom was a nurse, which is, sometimes a pretty thankless profession. And
Especially now.
It's definitely very hard, very physical work, and with people who sometimes don't appreciate it. And I think having that example of somebody who relentlessly got up every day to genuinely help people really stuck with me as an example of kind of selflessness and the impact of that you can have on people's lives. And in her case, and in my father's, certainly you don't get a lot back from that. And it was all about just impact and contribution. And so I think being surrounded by that put that into my heart. And then it probably took me a little while to connect that to the rest of my life. But I was fortunate to have that example really young.
So, it's funny. That's where it comes from for me. I lived my life in honor of my heroes, which were my parents and my grandparents. And it's something that's unwavering for me. I will not be any other way. My shtick, where every morning, every day I have a coffee or a lunch a day with somebody whom I've not met and would like to. And then every day I find out what their challenge is in their life. And I make 5 introductions a day to help them with that. And I do that every day with a non-transactional mindset, which we've talked about in the past. 100% of my being is actually there for that person when I'm there. I've got nothing to sell, nothing, does what I do come up? Sure, it comes up, but that's not why I'm there. So when you first got into the working world, you took that personality trait, that spirit, that the fabric of who you were, and you put it into your work. How did that, when you first went and you were in Edward Jones, from the time you were, 22 to the time you were like in 40, you worked in corporate for a long time in training and recruiting. Obviously that served you well because you worked your way up the corporate ladder in Edward Jones in a big way, right? So how did that help you? What elements did you rely on the most to elevate yourself within the company?
I think first I was very lucky to find Edward Jones young, which is a company that really prioritizes, bringing value to the client and putting the client needs first, and deeply understanding clients. And I certainly, at 22 didn't have the, wherewithal to know. It was sort of a happy accident. And then I found myself in a company that was really committed to that purpose. And, when you're 22 years old, you certainly don't always have the maturity or the talent to connect those values in your heart to your profession. And Edward Jones helped me do that through my
Wow.
starting as a trainer. And
That's a
through
bit, and
that,
coming from you, Andrea, that tells me a lot, because honestly, I don't know Edward Jones other than a few people that are wealth advisors with Edward Jones. But it tells me a lot because you come from the inside. So would you mind sharing with my audience? You remember you came to my mastermind group and we went around the room, and I posed a very simple question to everybody. I said, I want you to all go around the room, tell us your name, tell us your story. What really is your story? And you can tell us what you do and who you need to meet, that people that can refer you business. And the way you described what you do, I'd never heard that before from any wealth advisor in my life. And I could tell in the room, everybody took like a beeline over to you. So would you mind sharing that again with my audience? And it really is, it's your why. You have a beautiful way to describe your why in what you do with your clients. So would you mind sharing that?
yeah, I'd be glad to. So I was, as I mentioned earlier, really happy in my corporate career. And at the time, I was part of a training program and really enjoyed the work and the people. And then somewhat suddenly, and I really believe in the work that we do at Edward Jones, but what it took for me to really understand it was kind of a moment in my life. So somewhat suddenly, my mom passed away just, kind of in her sleep, very young. And shortly thereafter, my dad passed away, and they were married forever. My sister and I say he sort of died of a broken heart. So, obviously that was traumatic and a real moment in time. But with their death also came an inheritance of their, basically their life's work, their retirement money, their vacation fund, their hopes and dreams that they'd worked their entire life for, came to my sister and I in the form of dollars and cents. And when I saw that sort of windfall, it brought a lot of emotions out in me that were, of course, not positive around that money. So what it caused me to do was really look at that account balance and feel, sadness, loss, a lot of really negative emotions. And when people feel ugliness around their money, regardless of how it's come, or if there's an identity change around money, they're very likely to ignore it, spend it in wild and crazy ways, and just behave in ways that aren't aligned to their values. And I think for me, once I deeply understood money and investments and that piece of my business, but it really for the first time helped me connect to how windfalls of money or any type of money is always connected to emotion. And it could be something really positive, like you read all the time about athletes who get gigantic contracts that they've worked their whole life for. And then,
Which are, a lot of your clients are athletes.
I do have athletes as clients, and they end up squandering that money. You think, as somebody on the sideline, oh my goodness, how irresponsible. But really all that was happening there is that there was an identity change, a change in them through money, and it probably didn't feel very good. They went from having, genuine friendships at home to maybe people who needed money from them.
So
And
in a way, you act as a coach to them in their relationship, their emotional connection or disconnection with money first. And you rely on the experience and the journey that you took yourself through to improve your relationship with your inheritance, because all it meant for you was anger, frustration, because you wanted your parents to be alive. You didn't want the damn money, right?
exactly it. I wanted vacation pictures and time with my kids and all the things that I couldn't have anymore, not that dollars and cents. And that helped me in my business understand that if I can help people connect dollars and cents to purpose, it's a game changer. And they behave differently about money when they see those dollars as a way for them to live their purpose.
I have goosebumps. See, you do it to me. This is what you do to me.
Well, I love that you get it. And I sometimes think, it sounds, to me, it makes all the sense in the world, but I don't think I really understood it until I was in the situation. But I think if you can create, and this even goes to retirees. One day you're an executive and you're in charge of a giant company, and the next day you're at home in your sweats with a lot of money in the bank, but your identity has changed. You need to find a new purpose, and you need to connect your values, your heart, and your money to that. And I think a lot of what you've talked about is people who have that purpose. And if you can, money is not about stacking up dollars in the bank. It's about serving you and helping you live your dreams and make your contribution to the world, give to the thing you care about. And I think finding that connection for my clients is really what I love most about the business.
Okay, so audience, do you see why I have her as a guest on my show? Do you see what I mean? We're not talking about what everybody talks about as wealth advisors. This is what really matters, folks. So, Andrea, one last question for you. If somebody isn't a client for you, or they're so moved by what you just shared, and they don't say, they say, I would love to give Andrea a client, but I don't know anybody. What is something they can do for you? If somebody wants to help you in some way, because you're helping so many people, what's one of the ways, obviously, other than here's a client, Andrea, what are some of the other ways that somebody can help you?
That is I feel like the way that I get the most satisfaction, the way that I'm helped the most is by helping other people. So certainly, I want to be a part of the community and a part of, a team in helping others drive their purpose and drive their businesses. So I think, I want to be a resource, and that's how I can be of most help, is by having, members of the community help me help them.
I'll reframe it a little bit, and I'll kind of answer it for myself. Good people for you to know that can refer you clients that I think you could work nicely with through what your purpose is in getting people develop better relationship with their money and feel better about their lives in connection to it. Obviously, accountants are good for you. Bankers are good for you to know. They can refer you clients. Maybe sometimes divorce attorneys. I don't know. So folks, if you're listening, if you don't have a client for her, if you're not a client for her, make an introduction to Andrea, to one of these folks. That helps me by helping her, because I care about this person. So how would people get in contact with you, Andrea?
Well, my office is right in Chandler on Dobson and Pecos, and my phone number is 480-839-7900. And of course, I have my website, and Andrea.
What's your website address?
It's on the Edward Jones website, and you can just plug my name right in.
Spell your name.
Andrea, Andrea .Feeney, FEENEY at edwardjones.com. Good Irish name.
Email, and if you want to find her on her website, just put her name into the Edward Jones website. And of course on LinkedIn, Andrea Feeney on LinkedIn. So there you go, folks. You just met, in my eyes, probably one of the most special, I hate saying this because you're so much bigger than your title, wealth advisors you'll ever meet. Andrea, thank you for making time. I so appreciate you doing this. And most of all, I am grateful for having you in my life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have an amazing day.
You too.
Bye.